God. Absolutely no mystery God. There is no God in the sky and there is no devil under the ground. Heaven is not in the sky and hell is not under the ground. Heaven and hell are conditions of the mind, states of existence and states of being. So Jesus told us to stop looking for heaven in the sky. He said the kingdom of heaven is within you. And that we are the temples of the living God. That the living God lives in our temple, and he does not inhabit the sky, but he inhabits the higher realms of the heavens, of the realm of the secret innermost chambers of the subconscious chamber of the soul of man and woman. And this power bursts forth and emanates forth from him to set in motion a universal order based on principle and law. All of this set in motion by a divine power and a divine force that never dies. It's constant. It just changes forms. God is in man. Can't be in any man. He's got to be in the original man. Because if God is the first and everything comes from him, then he can't wait for anything else. He brings everything else into existence. There could be no white man if there were no black man. It is biologically and genetically impossible for the recessive white man to produce the dominant yellow baby. Biologically and genetically impossible for the recessive yellow man and woman to produce the dominant brown baby. Biologically and genetically impossible for the recessive brown man and woman to produce the dominant black baby. But that black man and his woman, the father and the mother of it all, can produce black, can produce brown, can produce red, can produce yellow. And if the seed runs wild or mutates in the womb of the black woman, can even produce an albino, something which is whiter than white, 180 degrees in either direction.
Flame on. Y'all asked for this. The release of the black drum. Come in, my youth, tell him.
People king walk with the fire. Fire. See your Babylon, them me want kill him. Watch your blood run from me eyes. Pick up the Christ and feed it for them. Blaze up the streets, make it hotter. Dragon bring a flame from the pit of fire them. Enemies are paid for the murders. With black power gangsters.
My dedication to liberation, seven with constant elevation. Kill a cracker for my nation. This I'll gladly show and prove. Protect the Sada, no hesitation. Rikers Island, destination. Many attempts, assassinations, and I'm still dropping jewels. Fucked up situation that you still think you Caucasian. What a disgrace to this nation. Time to lynch another coon. Hands up, I can't breathe. Still a bitch on your knees. Begging please, master please. Happy slaves and buffoons. As I watch the devastation from your miseducation. As I call it buck breaking, won't bust a balloon. Phil nigga be a racist. No need to complicate this while you comfy and complacent. Back in chains very soon. Mathematically equated with precision. Contemplated, now you looking devastated. Let me tell you what I mean. Faggot niggas integrated. MOD be most hated. And I know you crackers hate it. God is black up on the scene. What?
People king walk with the fire. See your Babylon, them me want kill him. Watch your blood run from me eyes. Pick up the Christ and feed it for them. Blaze up the streets, make it hotter. Dragon bring a flame from the pit of fire them. Enemies are paid for the murders. Black power gangsters liberate.
Gassed up with elements. Panthers bang on presidents. Niggas sleep in residence. Knowledge, self, common sense. Devil killer, frankincense. Hold the line, dip my stance. If I would die, fuck the rent. Babylon's testament. White racist judgment. King Samir, the people sent. Let me burn this government. Teleport environments. Crown royal highness. Sour diesel cipher shit. Then I build with lioness. Then I kiss her pretty lips. Soldiers hear me, get your grip. Plug out bag, extra clip. Water filter, medic kit. Soldiers pass the hollow tips. Black jack. dragon, bring the fire. Feel nigga heating this. Now I got my understanding so that God completing this. Niggas race treasonous. Which masters ask you for kiss? I'm black God, you a bliss. May you all rest in peace. From the slumber terrorist, Kamala Harris, better witch. Black man of feminist, black power gangster shit.
Upa King walk with the fire. See a Babylon, everyone kill him. Watch your blood run from me eyes. Africa for Christ and feed the poor them. Blaze up the streets, make it hotter. Dragon bring a flame from the pit to fire them. Enemies are paid for the murders. But black power gangsters liberate them. Upa King walk with the fire. See a Babylon, everyone kill him. Watch your blood run from me eyes. Africa for Christ and feed the poor them. Blaze up the streets, make it hotter. Dragon bring a flame from the pit to fire them. Enemies are paid for the murders. But black power gangsters liberate them.
Flame them, burn them bumper cloud. Fire for God. Judgment on Babylon, yeah.
Praise Nat Turner, glory to Garvey, and long live the spirit of the Honorable Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad.
Oh, say, can you see white folks oppressing me as they spew for their lives and plan my people's demise? Whose broad stripes and bright stars represent all the stars inflicted upon our race, a great people displaced. Now the time has come for the revolution as we march through the night and take all of their lives. Barbie land and red and black and green, African flag wave. When we win the victory, forever
Wartime, wartime, wartime. Black power, black power, black power. It's Warrior Wednesday. It's Retributionary Hour. And it is time for the Khalid Muhammad Militia Hour. So it's my duty and honor to open this class as we make way for our wartime general. I want to open with chapter 14, verse 4 of the Holy Quran. in this chapter, or the surah, is named after Ibrahim, dedicated to Ibrahim. Abraham, for those in English. In the 14th chapter, the 4th verse, it reads, "We have not sent a messenger except in the language of his people to clarify the message for them." We have not sent a messenger except in the language of his people to clarify the message for them. We had a messenger of Allah that came to us, and he was born October the 7th. And his name is the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and he was raised up from amongst us and sent to us with a message. Now, this message was controversial to everybody all over the planet, and even to whom the message was intended for. Oftentimes we heard people say, "Hey, I read this book and it changed my life. It gave me a different perspective." You heard the message that was given as a clarifier from the messenger who was sent to this nation, to our people in specific, to clarify the message as this verse in the Holy Quran is speaking about. We have not sent a messenger except in the language of his people. What's the language of our people? To clarify the message for them, then Allah leaves whomever he wills to astray and guides whomever he wills. And he is the Almighty, All-Wise. So this messenger who came with a message to the black man in America, not to the Arab, not to the Indian, not to the Asian, not to the Caucasian, not to anything else on the planet. He came with a message to the black man in America, who at that time, just as now, no longer sees themselves as black men in America. What did this messenger know to bring us this message in a supremely wise fashion, in an all-wise fashion, in an almighty fashion? How did he know that it would be a time after we received the message that was tailor-made, that was custom-made, that was administered to us in our affliction and sickness, that we would get well, and then we would come back into a time where our sickness would be double and triple fold because we did not hold fast to what was revealed by the messenger that revealed it to us. So in this process, on this day of knowledge, wisdom, all being born to understanding, we're going to get some understanding understood before our general comes with a flaming sword that turns in all directions. This message to the black man in America was revealed at a time where black men did not see themselves as black men. And even now, after knowledge, these black men no longer want to be considered black men. These black men no longer who wish to be addressed as black men. These black men, after knowledge, no longer see themselves in the state of black manhood. So the messenger came with a message that dealt in specificity to the so-called American Negro, who referred to himself as Negro, who referred to himself as colored, who referred to himself as nigger. Sound familiar? Isn't this what we'd rather refer to ourselves as today? Real niggas. Real niggas. So the state in which our divine messenger found us in when he was raised up and charged to give us a message, we find ourselves in the same damn position 379 years later. We have not sent a messenger except in the language of his people to clarify the message for them. We had a messenger come with a message. And that messenger raised up messengers in our midst to clarify the message. Next it says, then Allah leaves whoever he wills to stray. So after you receive the message, after you receive the knowledge, after you apply the knowledge, it becomes wisdom. Because I hear a bunch of this applied knowledge shit that's running around. It's knowledge, then wisdom, then understanding. But we know with the understanding of this process, that understanding is the best part. Understanding is to see things clearly for what they are, but not what they appear to be. Not what they appear to be. So you can appear to have this knowledge until you go under examination, until trials and tribulation. This knowledge and wisdom process in supreme mathematics is called love hella right. This process that's being described on the pathway to understanding ain't easy. And many fall by the wayside on the journey to understanding. Some don't even make it to knowledge. There's a process to attain knowledge, to build your foundation. Do they speak to you about the process of acquiring knowledge? What it means to do the knowledge? Before you get to wisdom. And how do you go from knowledge to wisdom? And what is wisdom? When it's knowledge, wisdom, then. And then Allah, whoever he wills to stray. So after you hearing this, you have a decision to stay or go. He wills to stray and guides whoever he wills. And he is almighty all wise. So this messenger coming with this divine message to the black man in America created a space where which knowledge was born, and as knowledge is born, therein lies a separation. So on this Warrior Retributionary Wednesday, a divine message is given. A divine decree is proclaimed. It's survive or die. So one of the messengers from this divine messenger who came with a message that is clarifying is here. And he has a message for the black man, woman, and child in America. Another place in the Holy Quran, it said we trade a messenger for a message. And this is what we've seen happen over the years. We traded the messenger for the message. We got caught up in the messenger and missed the message. We got caught up in the charisma, the slick talk, all of the BS of the messenger. And that was the true message. So we don't have to make this mistake today. We don't have to continue this cycle of 379 years. We don't have to go through another 400-year time span in this process of being lost and found. So black men, as in the most honorable Elijah Muhammad's time, did not want to be referred to as black men. As in our time, this day and time, the day and time and what must be done in 2022 from this bastard's calendar. No longer wish to be referred to as black men. We will not reform you. We will no longer seek to save you. We will simply fucking eliminate you because to you, black means death. So as you perceive it to be, so shall it be given unto you. And everyone who stands with you, that stands against us. Death to all of our enemies, foreign and domestic, internal and external. Those who no longer hearken to the message of the messenger will die in their own iniquity. So again, it becomes my honor and privilege at this time to introduce some and present to others the Black Dragon himself, a divine messenger who comes with a divine message of African retribution, of African supremacy, and total and complete destruction of this bastard devil and all of its advocates. The 5-star general of the Khalid Muhammad Militia here on Warrior Retributionary Hour. Our brother, the modern day George Jackson himself. General King Samir Shabazz. Wartime, wartime, wartime.
Wartime, wartime, wartime. We're back. We're back. And I know y'all missed us. Hell, I missed y'all. But we've been busy taking care of things that needed to be taken care of because of the fact it is wartime. We will no longer babysit. This is not a goddamn retributionary daycare center. Each and every single warrior is responsible for the protection of yourself and your family. You are now held accountable for those you say you love. You are held accountable for those you say you want to love. This is an instruction. This is a mandatory instruction. Make sure you write it down. Post it all over your house. Don't forget it. Because let me let you in on a little secret. Russia and China, they're coming. They're coming. And if you have been listening to this class for the 7 going on 8 years, you should know by now I've never told you anything that was not going to take place. I have never told you some bullshit just to sound good, just to sound revolutionary, just to sound intelligent. Everything I have said to you, I have made my word bond on it, and goddamn it, it has come to pass. And here we are. It's right in your face now. And you still looking for an excuse. You still looking for a way out. You can't run, nigga. You can't hide. You must face the fact that the black man is at war. They're coming and they're not coming to fucking play with you. They're not coming to do the latest twerk. They're not coming to do the latest damn jig. They're coming to put your ass in a concentration camp or 6 feet under. The choice is yours. I am just a warner to you with a divine message, a divine warning. I am that warner today. And I'm not being facetious. I'm not being arrogant. I know me. I understand the wide dome of me because it came from a divine messenger who led with a divine message. You wouldn't know who God is if it was not for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Hell, you wouldn't know who the devil is. You'll still be running around here thinking it's some damn spook underground with some pantyhose on and a damn fork in his hand. You'll still be running around here thinking everything white is an angel, is angelic, or it's God himself. You would still be running around here thinking Tarzan was a damn superhero. You would still be running around here thinking the goddamn Tooth Fairy was a damn superhero. You niggas would still be running around here thinking Jesse Jackson was a revolutionary. Look at you. Look at us. Are you prepared to survive? Or are you just so comfortable you just ready to die? I chose the powerful name, attribute more so, of Survive or Die Inc. Incorporated for a very mathematical, scientifical, and preparational reason. It's like you always go back to it. Like knowledge. You can never get away from it. Because anytime you got knowledge as your foundation, you always go back to it. Anytime you have survival as your foundation, guess what? You're going to always go back to it. I didn't just put that title as this survival team just because it sounds good. I know it sounds scary because it's straight to the fucking point. You wouldn't even know who you are. You wouldn't know nothing about African culture, even though the Honorable Elijah Muhammad did not go into depth about African culture, but he taught enough for us to endeavor into African culture. Because he taught us to go back to the root of all things. And the root of all things is you, black man. So how is it you don't even want to call yourself black today? This is a tribute to the man that gave me birth. Because I was one cracker-loving son of a bitch. Do y'all hear me? I was one real American. Chitlin eating motherfucking American. Do you hear me? When crackers cried, I cried. When crackers was in pain, I was in pain. I was sick. Beyond recognitionally sick. Do you hear me? That's right. I was sick. 20 of you Uncle Tom niggas together couldn't beat my sickness. I was sick. Sick. Crackers all over my bedroom wall. White bitches everywhere. Do y'all hear me? growing up with the dream and the false ideology of wanting to marry anything white that would marry me. Wanted to move to California with my white dog. Do y'all hear me? Chitlins every Sunday. Hog maws every Sunday. Macaroni and cheese and string beans every Sunday. I was sick. Couldn't live without a pork roll sandwich. Couldn't live without a fried ham with some honey all over it. I was sick. Until one day, I read the words of a doctor. The doctor's words started beating the hell out of me. Started beating the white woman out of me. Started beating the white man out of me. Started beating the white love out of me. Do you hear me? So when crackers felt pain, I laughed at their pain now. So when crackers would cry, I would laugh at their tears now. Uh-oh. Y'all ain't hearing me. I'm talking about a man with a 4th grade education. I'm talking about a man who couldn't speak very well. A very uneducated man until he ran into a proper educator. Notice I didn't say teacher, because teachers are nothing but programmers. Huh? They teach you how to be a slave. See? But I ran into a proper educator who taught me that the black man is the original man. Not a Negro, not a nigger, not a coon, not a buffoon, not a fag, but the original man. And that the original man is the Asiatic black man, God himself. Hey, doggies. Come here. Good boy. Good boy. All right. All right. So we're talking about a proper educator. We're talking about a man who took me from a level of willing to die for my enemy because I had so much sick love, so much confusing love in my heart and my brain for the same man who robbed me blind, for the same man who kidnapped, for the same man who murdered my family, for the same man who turned my children against me, turned my family against me, for the same man who made trillions of people who look just like me hate their own self. Y'all ain't hearing me. Don't worry, because we're still talking about the homosexualization of the revolutionary. But this is a tribute. So let's tally up. Listen carefully. Because now we've covered a few things on homosexualization, the definition and what it means, and different examples and all kinds of that, right? We going through this thing, right? But tonight I want to talk about effeminization. Mm. Let's talk a little bit about effeminization. But I want to get to the root. So walk with me here. Ride with me if you will. Fundamentally, there are no real differences in European women's and men's drive to acquire and abuse power. Like so-called liberal middle classers in general, their women are willing to support related interests of disadvantaged women as long as it does not interfere with their privilege. Listen carefully. White women who dominate feminist discourse today rarely question whether or not their perspective on women's reality is true to the lived experiences of women as a collective group, nor are they aware of the extent to which their perspectives reflect race and class biases. Like every other European liberal radical movement, minority inclusion is advocated. Uh-oh, listen carefully. Minority inclusion is advocated until their goals are attained. Then the black, brown, red pawns are summarily dismissed, kept in the lowest income position, and or relegated to irrelevant positions of influence. Irrelevant positions of influence. We have been and remain political fodder in their war game. Oh, the white woman is at war. You think she ain't? You think because you see that cave bitch in some leggings with a little fat booty and her little fishy ass piranha crotch showing, you think that ain't warfare? The messenger told us that the white woman is the white man. Last trick, brother. That's his last weapon against you. You, not me. You see, because I punched them bitches in the face that they even look like they want to even try to even think about it. I'm going upside their head. But this bitch is at war too. No one in their right mind would argue that European women are less racist than European men. The cooperation of European men and women was necessary to undertake a global terrorism and imperialism. So such historical cooperation makes it contradictory to believe that European men are racist, but European women are not. Who do you think gold and dress European men for war? To protect their privilege? If nothing else today, sexual access and favors are tools equally used in real life to make and keep their men in a constant state of readiness to war over their right to steal and control those resources which ensure their privilege. Women are instrumental in the definition and creation of manhood. Now, as Betsy Ross labored to sew the American rag for her men, the sheet that the Ku Klux Klan hide behind are painstakingly crafted by the European women who love them and support their efforts. Historically, it was the Caucasian woman who castrated the African man after and while they were being hung. It was the Caucasian woman who made African babies drink cow's milk so that her Caucasian babies could drink the African woman's breast milk. And here you are, still in 2022, eating a bowl of goddamn Captain Crunch with some cow's milk. And you let these lying bastards tell you milk does a body good. Huh? Milk does a body good. Mm. Are you a cow, black man? But yet you wonder why they say we're 3/5 of a human being? Because everything they feed us is improper and animalistic. This is why you act like an animal, black man. This is why we are savage as hell today. Mm, 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 mm. Historically, it was the cracker bitch who castrated the African man after and while they were being hung. It was the cracker whore who made African babies drink cow's milk so that her cracker whore babies could drink the African women's breast milk. It was the cracker whore who does not allow African children to bond. It was the cracker whore who teaches white supremacy and African inferiority to African children. Oh, but here you are. Here you are. So in love, huh? Our general teaches us we are to kill the white woman because she is the manufacturing center of our outright enemy. She is the whore that produces the troops every 9 months. And this is why they spend trillions of dollars so that their whores could now have 6 to 8 babies at one time, artificially. We're not even talking about their birth rate being at a decline. We're talking about a war strategy here. Why am I talking about this cracker whore like this? Why am I going into detail about white women? Because you need to understand what the hell we're dealing with when we look at this fucking dog. This shaved German shepherd. You need to know about this bitch. Because it's obvious that plenty of y'all have forgotten about this bitch. The root of effeminization is the white woman. I'm sorry, the white bitch. See, I give these hoes no respect. And this is your problem today. Oh, we should respect everyone. Shut the fuck up. That old trifling, flea-ridden bitch don't even respect her goddamn self. So I'll be damned if I show a hoe any respect. I call them and treat them like I see them. No white bitch gets respect from me. No, not one. Not even Master Fraud Muhammad's mama. He didn't give her no respect, so why should I? He taught us she is the devil, regardless to whom or what. That does not exclude white women. When we say the white man is the devil, that is including the white bitch. Don't get it twisted. Effeminate behavior can be defined and described as those mental and physical qualities typical attributed to females by Western standards. And in doing so, we cannot separate the mentality required of the effeminized male from that stereotype in the ideal type of girl in Western culture. It is a childish mentality that thrives on the attention of men, presenting itself as naive and in dire need of defense. But effeminate malehood is more than just being childish, it is modeled on the spoiled female child. Nonetheless, it is, especially in its homosexual manifestation, is quite mature in its blind willingness to be exploited by men in whatever way that will attract and or secure their attention and masculine affection. The degree to which this can be considered a sexist definition of the female is a matter of the reader to decide. I am reading from our great Baba among us today, Baba Walimu Barudi, homosexuality and the effeminization of African males. If you do not have this book, you bugging. You do not have this book, family, you bugging. And I'm going to just leave it at that. Using this cultural definition as their guide, effeminate males take great pride in displaying their physical and often mental weakness. The desire is to be perceived as soft and vulnerable. And since Europeans are the model, the goal of these males is to be as effeminate looking as young male model actors like Leonardo DiCaprio or Macaulay Culkin and Elijah Wood, who not coincidentally bears a striking resemblance to Greek boys from their classic period. Adult effeminate males envy the attention women get from men. Compliments are extremely important to this personality type. They wish to fill in the sexist gap left by the women who have moved out of the dependent responsibilities and privileges assigned them by Western patriarchy. In limited contrast, homosexual males do not always project frailty or physical weaknesses. You see them. A lot of them motherfuckers play football, play baseball. They're wrestlers. They're soccer players. Oh, they're all over the place. Me, oh my. Effeminates constantly or consistently do. Let me read this again. In limited contrast, homosexual males do not always project frailty or physical weakness. Effeminate consistently do. To date, there is no hard evidence that effeminate males are by default homosexual, although of an unknown number at this point in time, you can find homosexuals in the more combative and violent professional sports, what I just say, such as football, as well as other occupations that require physical aggression, peacetime, or not like the military. Moreover, physical attacks and assaults resulting from the fear and or hatred of Western style heterosexual fundamentalists have at times served as a catalyst for homosexuals to close ranks for protection by becoming masculine in appearance and action. Violent homosexual gangs are not abnormal in Western society, and aggressions from the outsiders fuel and help fashion and hold on. Okay, Sodom, sodomistic tendencies. There we go. Okay, sodomistic tendencies of what is considered a more civilized, progressive European homosexuality. The leather sex cults throughout Western society are but one example of this perversion driven homosexual sex style. They modernize and innate European drive to recreate over and over again in every interpersonal relationship, exploiting superiors and manipulated inferiors. In these cults, serial twosomes are sexually linked based on one falling into the category of master and the other being a slave. These are the same active and passive categories we see in the same homosexual relationships of their Greco Roman ancestors. Slaves and masters are distinguished in leather bars, clubs, and motorcycle gangs by their positions, privilege, clothes, and equipment designed to permit one to easily sexual exploit or be sexually exploited by others. Gag balls as an example, y'all. Okay? Wait a minute. Because now that was my example. But Baba gives his example. Okay? Now, while their masters wear chaps and boots and hold the chains, leashing those they sexually own, their slaves wear slave harnesses, leashing collars and chains, cock rings to make sexual access to them easier and otherwise restrain and control their physical movement. The deranged right hand man of the leader of the evil forces and his blonde boy in the leather bound motorcycle gang and car gang in Mad Max, the movie, is one of the more obvious cinematic portrayals of this cult. But the macho image of some European male homos, like the masters in these cults, is no more than an empty and expedient claim to male credibility. Effeminate males, again, however, are consistently effeminate. Physical and verbal assaults do little to alter their feminine facade. In their case, homosexuality, non aggressiveness, is not a genderless state. It is purely effeminate. There is a systematic attempt on the part of this participant to seek out and emulate those behaviors or traits considered to be the polar opposite of what masculinity has been determined to be in the patriarchal Western context. Now, none of this shit is African. None of it is African. Okay? So we're not going to sit here and give any credit to any African ancestors that these lying fairies have came on national television. You sick ass niggas have come before the world and had the audacity to say that homosexuality was in Africa. It was written on the walls, in the scribe, in the scrolls. Nigga, where? Where? Two behaviors which ordinarily can serve to set homosexuals apart from effeminate are their public and private displays of sexual preference. And while the line between the behavior of homosexuals and effeminates in these two areas can at times be blurry to non existent, by definition, they are distinct. Homosexuality is a gender confused preference in sexual intercourse, assuming one is willing to define erotic homosexual behavior as sex. Effeminacy, on the other hand, is a gender confused behavioral preference. You understand? In other words, you got your tranny, perfect example. Tranny, transgender, transvestite, whatever the fuck you want to call them, weirdos. These are your absolute most psychotic ones. Because again, they have to do this consistently, remember? They are consistently being feminine or trying to be feminine. They go out of their way. But let's read on. Nonetheless, in the final analysis, all this definitional mumbo jumbo serves no meaningful purpose in helping us interpret the negative impact of this growing collective on the African community. For, as was implied at the beginning of this chapter, homosexuals can be effeminate, and in fact, most of them are. So let's not get none of it twisted, okay? In following the tradition of an exaggerated presence of European social ills in the African communities of Western society, effeminate homosexual males are also disproportionately concentrated in our community. And they're also disproportionately concentrated in these so-called movements. So let's not get none of this shit confused. This is the purpose of the title being the homosexualization of the revolutionary. Because honestly, a lot of you niggas have truly accepted, and you've become so okay with it that you become quiet about it. Homosexuals wish to create a new gender, or rather genderless classification system. And while it may be difficult to identify homos on sight, there is never a question about whether or not a male is effeminate or not. Their rejection of all behaviors defined as masculine is extreme. Their behavior as a conspicuous negation of the masculine because they must take extreme measures to present themselves to the world as the opposite of what they are. In order to appear least male, they must take shelter behind the image of a fucking RuPaul, or an image considered the weakest of all women behind those considered the polar opposite of the most powerful men in their world, European females. Regardless of their differences, African effeminates and homosexuals pride themselves in expressing indifferent or even appreciative attitude and behavior toward the aggressions that are directed at their community by Europeans. Neither will never be misinterpreted as forming any line of defense against those invading it. In fact, they are least likely to claim loyalty to any but the universal community fabricated and dominated by the European mind. Race, the most divisive, explosive, and action oriented variable, is what they least wish to be associated with in their striving to help build a colorless, perverted sexual playground. They, like Negroes, yearn for an absolute assimilation. And with that being said, I love you more than you hate your black self. Wartime.